The year is 1999. The gaming console of choice, the PlayStation 1. Hang on a minute, I'm getting deja vu here. Isn't this exactly how I started my Digimon World video? 1999 was clearly a golden year for hard as nails, overly complex PlayStation 1 games that, as a kid, I just couldn't finish. This time though, we're diving into ancient Egypt, where everything was decided in a game of cards. That's right, we're playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories. I'd be lying if I said I was going into this game blind, as I've been watching speedruns of this game for years. And thanks to that knowledge, I knew about the 15 card mod, and of course I absolutely decided to use it. After winning a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! You'll usually be rewarded with 1 card, and some star chips that you can use to buy cards to bulk out your deck. But thanks to the 15 card mod, whenever you win, you get 15 times the amount of cards. And while it is a lovely quality of life, I assure you, it's not game breaking. But to understand that, we'll have to go over drops, which is not something we're going to be doing until much later in the video. Right, let's hop into the opening section of Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories. You play as Yami Yugi, a prince who enjoys spending his days down at the local dueling grounds with his friends. So, that's what we do. It's here we meet our good friends Jono and Tiana, is that how you say it? But it's not Joey and Tia, as we're in the past, so I presume these are their relatives. You can choose who to duel with if you want to duel anyone. But since I haven't actually played this game since before the PlayStation 2 was released, I thought it'd be a good idea to practice on these duels. But before we can do that, let's take a look at our deck and make sure that it's playable. Speedrunners are essentially looking for 2 things: what magic card do you have, and what equip card do you have. Early game you can use anything to win duels, but when you get into the middle of the game you'll basically rely on a single card fusion called Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon. It is the most powerful fusion that we can make, sitting at 2,800 attack. So what we're looking for is any equip card that can actually work with this card, and what it should do is boost their attack by a further 500 points. But I don't know which ones work. Well, I didn't at the time of recording. Now that I've finished the game, I'm surprised at how much I've actually managed to pick up and learn. The equip card we got was Horn of Light, and really lucky here, that does work on Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon. So what about magic cards then? I think you can get one of 2 things. The first is Black Hole, a card that when used destroys every card on the field, whether it's your opponent's or your own. The second one, however, Raigeki, is the preferred choice, as this destroys your opponent's monsters only. Here we got lucky again, as we got Raigeki. I think apart from that you can be more particular and check how many dragons you have and how many thunder cards you have to really boost up your chances of creating Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon. But I'll explain how all that works very shortly in the video. Let's briefly talk about the UI. Top right you can see each person's life points and card count. If either one reaches 0, you lose, unless it's your opponent's life points of course. In that case, you win. Top left is the current field type. These boost the attack and defense of specific types of cards. This will be useful later on. For now though, most duels will remain fieldless, so no card types are being boosted at all. Finally, at the bottom of the screen is your hand, which holds 5 cards. At the start of the game, most cards have less than 1,000 attack and defense. So what we need to do is we need to press up on a D-pad to fuse the cards together into a stronger monster. Watching speedruns made me feel super confident that I knew exactly what I was doing. Boy was I wrong. And now, 10 or so hours later, I am still hopeless. Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon was my absolute crutch, and it is the only card that I consistently know how to make, which is why we worked very hard on farming and building a deck to create this monster as frequently as we possibly could. Thankfully the first few fights are basically unlosable. The opponents either do not fuse cards or they very rarely do. So if you can make any card within the 1,000 attack range, you've typically won, which incidentally brings me onto my biggest complaint with card games in general, and that's how snowbally they are. I recently played and covered Pokemon TCG Pocket, and in the end I didn't review it very highly. The game unfortunately was too basic, and in my opinion, it was decided from turn 1 who would win and who would lose. Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories has a similar problem, as you can only play 1 card per turn, whether it's a field card, a magic card, or equip card, or a trap card, or even a monster card. You can only place 1 of these per turn. But as you'll see later on in this video, this game is insanely unfair, and it's absolutely intentional. So this really isn't an important factor. And when it is, it's usually in our favour. The only other thing to talk about is the addition of star signs. I basically paid no attention to this whatsoever, except for later on where a few cards required me to select the correct star sign in order to defeat the bulky monsters. Essentially, if your star sign is stronger than your opponent's, you gain 500 attack and defense points. If it's weaker, they gain 500 attack and defense points. It's not really clear why this is in the game, but it's mostly just annoying if you ask me. As we work our way through the villages, Jono and Tiana, we'll be winning cards, and as I stated earlier, 15 times the usual amount. Before each fight, you'll be greeted with a deck building screen, and after beating most of the game, I finally discovered that there is a tab which displays your most recently won cards. What we're doing here is we're looking for dragon types and electric types to put in place for our plants, warriors, beasts, etc. This is because to fuse Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon, we need to combine a dragon card with 1600 attack or more with an electric or dragon card. So plant type monsters are not used for this, likewise beasts, warriors, water cards, except that's not entirely true, because there are a few cards, like Spike Seedra, that can be fused into Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon. I don't know why or how I knew this, but it's probably subconsciously from all the speedruns that I've watched, and the other ones that I fell asleep watching. The speedruns are really long. If you're interested, I would highly recommend looking up the history of speedrunning for Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories. Jono isn't actually available right at the start of the game. He's busy battling Seto and unsurprisingly being destroyed. Speaking of Seto, he's really annoying, and he demands that we meet him in the dueling grounds and battle him. This is probably the first fight you can actually lose. He doesn't have his signature cards yet, so he's not crazy tough, but if you've not figured out a few basic fusions, you can definitely lose this. After you beat him, there's nothing else to do but to crawl back to your chambers where Simon Moran is waiting for you. He's actually the character that greets you at the start of the game, but honestly I have no idea who he is, or why he's blue. I did skim read all the dialogue, but I swear it was never explained. But Simon's kind of a badass. He protects us from the main antagonist of the game, a high mage named Haishin. This guy got really under my skin when I was a kid, and you'll see why very soon. As we retire to bed, our conversation with Simon gets interrupted. We are told that the palace is under attack. We rush over to find the place is in ruins. Simon is wounded as he attempts to fight off Seto and let us run, as the Millennium Puzzle we have is the last treasure the mages seek. Unfortunately, we bump into Haishin and we're forced to duel. By now you might be able to fuse 1 or 2 Twin-Headed Thunder Dragons, but I couldn't. And sadly though, even if you could, it wouldn't matter, as Haishin can place cards such as MBD, Meteor Black Dragon, boasting 3500 attack. We're not meant to win this fight, and even if you somehow do, Haishin demands you fight him again and again until he eventually wins. So naturally I slam my weakest monsters into his face to end the duel faster. We're forced to hand over the Millennium Puzzle and admit defeat. And that's the story of Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories, a cruel and unfair card game where the bad guy wins, enslaving all of What? We smashed the puzzle into pieces, which sent us into some trippy domain, and now we have to wait thousands of years for someone in the future to put the pieces back together. That is genuinely insane. Except it was all a dream. We're actually playing Yugi in the present day, and we get to name Yugi, so naturally, we're done. It's day 1 of the world tournaments, and all the main characters are here. We've got Rex, Weevil, Joey, Bandit Keith, Mai, Pegasus, and of course, Kaiba. The stress of the tournament caused Yugi to have some strange dreams, and it's definitely got nothing to do with the Millennium Puzzle that he carries. The first duel isn't too bad. We jump straight into Rex Raptor. He's got some really cool cards, and of course plenty of dragons for us to get. So this is where we introduce a really cool addition to the game, Free Duel. Once you've battled an opponent, you can face him as many times as you want in the Free Duel section. Simply save your game, back out to the menu, and click Free Duel. Like I said earlier, we'll go over how drops work much later, as I tried to avoid figuring this out as long as I could. For now, there's 2 duelists we want to fight. The first is Rex Raptor. He can drop a handful of dragon cards and thunder cards. Not only that, but he can drop a few zombies, which can be used to fuse into Dragon Zombie, another 1600 card dragon type that allows us to make Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon with a single electric card. Or he can actually even just drop Dragon Zombie himself, saving an entire layer of fusion. The other duelist is sort of a secret one, as he's there right at the start of the game, but I don't know who he is or why he's there. If you scroll all the way down, you'll find Duel Master K, and after a small bit of farming, it's time to go back to the tournament to face our next opponent, Weevil. Now I absolutely hate this guy, not because of anything he does in game, just because of this moment from the anime. I also hate Kaiba for ripping up the 4th Blue Eyes White Dragon, but there's plenty more reasons to hate Kaiba, especially the Seto counterpart. Weevil can actually be quite annoying if you don't get the fusion cards you need. His deck has a handful of fairly strong monsters, including the bulky Cocoon of Evolution, sitting at 2000 defense. I know for a fact that Giant Moth is in the game, with 3,500 attack. So it's possible that Weevil might actually be able to fuse the Cocoon of Evolution to create this card. But I don't know, and I didn't see it happen, thankfully. In terms of drops, we've got something called the Black Land Fire Dragon, sitting at 1,500 attack. So unfortunately 100 attack too low to instantly fuse Twin-Headed Dragon out of. But for now, it's still helpful. He can also drop a single Thunder card, but all this doesn't really make him very ideal to farm. But we mustn't forget that we can't win this game with monster cards alone. Weevil can actually drop a variety of equip cards, magic cards, and even trap cards, with Invisible Wire being a really useful trap card at this stage of the game. Invisible Wire destroys any attacking monster with 2,000 attack or less. The equip cards, however, are not so useful. Round 3 is My Valentine, and just like Weevil was a step up from Rex, Mai has a few extra strong cards in her deck. Dark Elf at 2,000 attack points, and Harpy's Pet Dragon at 2,000 attack and 2,500 defense. Once again, she can drop a couple of strong cards, but both sit at 1,500 attack points. The issue for me was just not having enough electric cards. We get an incredible turn 1 and turn 2, letting us fuse Twin-Headed super early. Though I should mention at this point, I didn't know that you could fuse any dragon or any electric card with Thunder Dragon to make Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon. So you'll see a lot of occasions I can actually make another Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon, but I just didn't because I didn't know. But at this point, it doesn't matter. We've got a Twin-Headed on the field, so we've basically won. Which brings us to the 4th round, Bandit Keith. This is where things can actually get pretty scary if you don't get lucky, as his deck contains a really powerful monster called Zoa, sitting at 2,600 attack, meaning our only option is to fuse a Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon. Thankfully, we start off strong with a Zombie Dragon, meaning we only need a Thunder card to secure our win. The Bandit plays a stronger card and beats our Dragon. So for the first time, we are on the back foot. This is where we can deploy a strategy called cycling or dumping, where basically you just smash all your useless cards into each other, either hoping for a miracle fusion or just to get better cards in your hand faster. Thankfully, Keith plays a magic card face down, so we don't take any damage to our life points this turn. How do we know it's a magic card, not a trap? Well, the AI has a few tells and patterns of what it likes to do, which really helps narrow down what cards are being played. You can sort of abuse this as well by forcing the AI to do things that they normally wouldn't do, something that we'll be doing later on in the game to help secure some wins. In this case though, the AI hovers over the face down magic card and then blacks it out. This shows that they can flip over the card and use its effect if they wanted to, whereas trap cards will remain highlighted and in a lighter colour. Basically, it means that we can actually attack his card without fear that the trap card will activate and kill our monster. The cycling actually worked, and here I can fuse a Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon. But a noob that I was, didn't even realise, and we got one step closer to our first loss. Honestly, watching back over the footage to write this script really hurt. There are so many times that I could have played better. I could have fused Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon so many times. Unfortunately, he's fused a pretty scary card here. I really need a Twin-Headed, or we're in deep trouble. Another terrible hand, time to cycle again. Now we're really in trouble. Wait, yes, we can fuse Twin-Headed, perfect. Now you might be wondering what happens if I slam my Twin-Headed into his. They both die, so it's not an ideal outcome for us in this situation, as we'd still lose. The good news is you can once again force the AI to make a blunder of a play here, as they know they can't kill your card without losing their own. So they'll flip the card into defensive mode, which gives us a free kill. And now we use a forest card. Why did I use a forest card? I have no idea. To be fair, it's too risky to place another monster in attack mode, but I'd rather play a card in defense mode, as when they die to another monster, you don't lose life points. Not only that, but it will force the opponent to keep their monster in attack mode, so our Twin-Headed can kill them and deal extra life point damage. It just makes the fight a little bit faster. Many turns later, our first big hurdle is defeated. Time for our next duel. Oh, hey, it's Joey. Slight spoiler, but we never actually get to face Joey. I presume he's defeated by Kaiba, but I don't think it's ever mentioned. Not only Joey, but Shadi is here too. And he said he's been drawn to the tournament by our Millennium item, and Shadi drops the biggest bombshell ever. It wasn't a dream. We're sent into the puzzle and we meet Yami Yugi, who gives us some blank cards that we magically take with us into the real world. Match 1 of the finals. Us versus Shadi. Shadi's deck is strangely not very scary. His strongest monster only has 1,800 attack, but unfortunately his drops aren't very good either. One Twin-Headed later, and that's victory, rewarding us with not just a card, but 2 blank cards that absorb his Millennium items. I like this world. Winning a card game rewards you with what looks like very valuable golden treasures. Yoink! I'll be taking that. From here on out, every duel has a treasure on the line. as everybody possesses one and has been drawn to this tournament, including our next opponent, Bakura. Or Yami Bakura, I think it technically is. Yami Bakura can be really annoying because of his super defensive deck. We've got Millennium Shield at 3000 defense and Labyrinth Wall at another 3000 defense. Already we're starting to see why this game is so unfair. The best card we can fuse is 2800 attack, which is already not enough to defeat his 3000 defense monsters. This is sort of where star signs come into play, but not in a way that you'd expect. The AI will always use the top button, which for both of these super defensive cards is Uranus. A younger me would have written a pun into that, but older me is desperately trying to find a way to not do that. I'm proud of me. Good job. Uranus is actually strong against Pluto, you know, because it's so damn big. Sorry. Pluto is the default option for twin-headed, so what we need to do is not pick Pluto. Put an equip card on him or boost him with a mountain field type, and now we've surpassed that 3000 defense wall. You absolute idiot. One job. I had one job. And he's got a second one. Thankfully we can slowly win by baiting him to attack our weaker cards. Oh, never mind, we got an equip card. Oh wait, yeah, wrong star sign. It's still not enough. Hang on though, we can fuse a second one. I clicked Pluto. This is hard to watch. The good news is we know all those cards he's playing on a back row are magic cards, since every turn he's highlighting over them and graying them out. Okay, that last one is a trap card, but now you can see the visual differences, making it super obvious which one's a trap and which ones are magic cards. Finally, we draw Raigeki, and then we can wipe out his wall, use a weaker monster to activate a trap card, ensuring our twin-headeds do not get killed. He finally uses his entire back row to weaken our monsters and empower his own, allowing him to actually take out our twin-headed. Normally this would be scary, but there are so many ways that we can fuse a new one, so that's what we do. That's another victory for us, and one more golden treasure. Time for Pegasus. A guy we'll be seeing a lot since we're going to have to farm him in free duel to get an amazing equip card and some trap cards. Pegasus has a really cool ability thanks to his Millennium Eye. This allows him to see all of our face down cards, so I believe his AI is actually less predictable than others. Pegasus is a really hard fight, if you get unlucky. He's got plenty of strong cards, but more importantly, he's got a chance to summon MBD, Meteor Black Dragon, the 3500 card Haishin used on us at the start of the game. Slowly we've been removing weak cards that can't be fused into twin-headed and replacing them for the odd powerful card that we got dropped, including this strange mechanical card that was actually pretty helpful for Pegasus. A few turns later our little robot goes down to a Crimson Sunbird, so now we need a twin-headed. Oh, look at that, now we are safe. Oh, never mind, he can Raigeki apparently. We might be in trouble. Interestingly, much later I learned that the AI won't use magic cards, like Raigeki, if they have no monster cards down. They will always prioritise having a monster card to protect their life points over a magic card that can wipe the enemy field. We pulled a Raigeki of our own. We just need Pegasus to get a monster of 1500 attack or lower. Damn. It's our first loss. But that's okay, we just need a few more dragons and a few more electrics to make the likelihood of fusing twin-headed much higher. So a couple of hours of farming later we return with a stronger deck. Not a good opening hand, so it's time to dump these useless cards. We got a twin-headed, but we can see he has a trap down, so we wait a turn. Risky, since this gives the AI a chance to use Raigeki, but we have to try. He drops another attack, but now we know it won't affect our twin-headed since it's too strong a card. A few turns later and we've got 3 on the field. That's game. Much better. We'll farm Pegasus and free duel later, but for now I think our deck is strong enough to finish off the tournament. Next up is Isis? Can I say that or will YouTube demonetize me? Honestly, I have no idea these days. To be safe, I don't even curse my videos anymore. Her deck has a few scary monsters in, such as her own twin-headed Thunder Dragon, or the slightly scarier Black Skull Dragon sitting at 3200 attack. In terms of drops, she can actually drop Spike Seadra, a 1600 card that can fuse with any electric to make twin-headed Thunder Dragon. Otherwise, it's a boatload of low attack dragon cards. It's not the worst, but after the tournament we really want to get working on 1600 plus only monsters for fusing. According to the wiki, her English name is translated to Naomi Ishizu, so we'll call her that from now on. Turn 1, we get a twin-headed on the field. If everything goes well, this is practically won already. I'll save you the rest of duel as it was very uneventful, and we won. Well, that's Ishizu defeated and another Millennium item claimed. This is it, the finals against Kaiba. It shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone that he can play Blue Eyes White Dragon, a 3000 attack card. He also has a few magic cards such as Dark Hole, Swords of Revealing Light and Crush card, with the latter being quite scary, as it destroys all opponent monsters with 1500 attack or more. Once again we open with a twin-headed and thankfully he can't kill it this turn. I'm quite happy to trade life points if it means I win faster, as there's less threat of a Blue Eyes coming out that way. And with that strategy we defeat Kaiba really quickly, claiming the final Millennium item. This is where I want to take a mini timeout and talk about the amazing art style of this game. There are so many beautiful hand-drawn images that pan to seem like a cutscene. The way that the characters slide on screen, and when they're talking off screen you get a small little portrait that shows up above the text box to tell you who's talking. It's really unique and utterly gorgeous. Anyway, we released the cards or the Millennium items or whatever into the live stream. Yes, that's a Final Fantasy VII reference. And now that I think about it, that's another PlayStation 1 game that I played a lot as a kid and I never beat. Is that foreshadowing for my third installment of this video essay series I've accidentally started? Honestly, I have absolutely no idea. Check back on this video in a year and we'll see how well that's aged. With the Millennium items dealt with, honestly I don't really know how to describe what just happened. But we're back in the past. That's all you need to know. Everywhere is a ruin. We can't find our friends anywhere, so we check the old duel grounds. Hey, it's Jono. The world is in crisis, but are held up in a super secret location. 2 doors down the street. They continue to duel each other, and you can duel them all again. But I think it's only Jono that has an updated deck, so the rest of them are painfully easy, and they don't drop anything new. This is where the game ramps up in difficulty. And not just a little bit. If your deck is not ready, you will not be able to beat the mages, and you will not be able to reclaim the Millennium items in this timeline. And if the absurdly powerful cards they play isn't unfair enough, most duels from here will start on a field that benefits the opponents you'll face. This is why we bring our own field cards to remove the boost and hopefully provide us a boost. While also sometimes it just makes your opponents waste a turn by changing the field back to what it originally was. There are 5 shrines we need to defeat. Each of them is guarded by a lesser mage and a high mage. To not make this video too long, I'll give you a really rough breakdown. We beat the lesser metal mage using our army of twin-headed thunder dragons, only to get absolutely destroyed by the high mage who played Gate Guardian, a 3750 attack card. So we tried the other shrines first. Ocean Shrine, Forest Shrine, Mountain Shrine and Desert Shrine were all super easy and they fell first time around. And in hindsight, I'd actually go and defeat the lesser metal mage and face him in free duel, as he has got the highest chance to drop MBD, Meteor Black Dragon. And if we combine that with a single equip guard, that'll let us beat High Mage's Gate Guardian. But I didn't do that. Instead I brute forced my way through the High Mage until RNG was on my side. We're actually at the end game now. This is where we need to face the final 7, which is a series of insanely hard and unfair fights that you must face back to back without the option of saving. First up is Labyrinth Mage, who as you probably guessed can play Gate Guardian. Thankfully we didn't get a repeat of the High Mage and we beat him first try. And this is where I don't know if I got really lucky or if just every choice leads the same way, but I went right, left and ended up clearing the maze. The second and third fights were also fairly easy, with Sebek and Neku falling first try. Fight number 4 though is Haishin, who absolutely destroyed me. Attempt number 2, Labyrinth Mage down, Sebek down, Neku down and Haishin down. This is where the game just takes the absolute mick. I alluded to it earlier, but Seto is straight up overpowered. Pretty much every single time I got to him, he immediately summoned a Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, boasting 4500 attack. Even if I got Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon, I would have to use 4 equip cards to beat him, and with Twin-Headed using a minimum of 2 cards to fuse, that was literally impossible. And seemingly RNG was not on my side, as he never failed to draw his insanely overpowered card. So, what do? Give up? No. There's one option I have in mind. We go back to free duel and begin grinding for 2 cards in particular. Meteor Black Dragon and an equip card called Megamorph. Megamorph gives any monster plus 100 attack and defense. Getting MBD was actually really easy, because the mage is super weak and it's a power reward. Time to explain how rewards are calculated. The simple part is cards have a drop chance. It's a number of 2048, but we'll use percentages since it's easier to make sense of. Meteor Black Dragon's highest drop chance is 0.98% chance, which is why we're running the 15 card mod drop. However, the complicated part is it only drops from an S or an A POW win. Wins are broken down into 2 categories, POW or Tech. which I assume means power or technical. Within power and tech are rankings from D to S. This chart is how I figured it out in the end. You start with 50 points, and from there everything that you do will either increase your points or decrease your points. For power you want high points, so winning the game in as little turns as possible, using as little cards as possible, and doing as little fusions as possible, while also not relying on placing cards face down, equip cards, field cards, magic cards, trap cards, etc. Tech, however, which we need to get an S or an A from Pegasus for Megamorph, sucks. You basically need to play badly, which I found harder and harder to do as my deck got better. What I would do is I'd play as many magic and trap cards as possible, fuse as much as I could, while placing my few remaining weak monsters face down before smashing them into Pegasus' stronger monsters to lessen my own life points. Once I carefully got down to one card left in my deck, which would take about 20 minutes to fight, I'd end the game, usually resulting in an A-Tech. S-Tech is just really awkward to get. Many hours of doing this later, we had our 3 Megamorphs, and returning to the final 7 felt so rewarding. We smashed through the first 4, arriving back at Seto for revenge. Turn 1 we drew the ability to fuse 2 twin-headed Thunder Dragons, as well as pulling MBD. The problem is we can't play MBD, as it's weaker than his Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon or Gate Guardian, so we have to hold him for Megamorph. We decide to dump our hand while fusing a twin-headed to protect our life points. Unsurprisingly, Kaiba summons a Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. We need Megamorph, and we need it now. Oh my god. This hand is actual perfection. We play one of our MBDs with 2 Megamorphs, putting us at 5,500 attack points. And since we know the AI will always play a monster if there's no monsters on the field, we've basically won. Here's where the AI does a few strange things. Some monsters they will place in either attack mode or defense mode, no matter what. Earlier we saw cards like Labyrinth's Wall being placed in defense mode, even if they got powered up and there was a creature that they could attack on the other side of the field. They would not ever move those cards into attack mode. Equally for high attack cards like MBD, Gate Guardian, Blue Eyes Ultimate, they will not place these cards in defense mode, so that just makes this fight quicker for us. We power up a second MBD and we finish the duel. 5 down, 2 to go. But not before the big whining baby that Haishin is grabs Seto and demands that we hand over Millennium items so he can summon some ancient Egyptian emo guy called Dark Knight, spelled D-A-R-K-N-I-T-E. Like hell would hand over the items, just kill Seto, we don't care, is what I would say if I had my own way, but I don't. So here you go, summon a big bad guy. Who would have thought that this completely backfires on Haishin? He gets sucked into his own card before being burned alive? Kinda dark, Yu-Gi-Oh! Kinda dark. We still have some of the items and cards or something? I have absolutely no idea, but for whatever reason, Dark Knight is forced to fight us. His deck is actually not that scary, with his strongest monster being Meteor Black Dragon. Honestly, his deck basically looks the same as Haishin's deck. He's got some scary equip cards and traps, such as a trap card called Widespread Ruin, that destroys any attacking creature regardless of its power. We actually get a terrible hand, with no way to fuse twin-headed and no MBD. But I don't want to get rid of my equip cards, so I just cycle the monsters. Dark Knight summons a Cosmo Queen, which isn't the worst card he could have played. If we can fuse twin-headed, we can give an equip card that will beat it. Okay, this hand is close to being really good if I can get an electric card. So I decide to use Raigeki here, save myself for another turn. Here Dark Knight places down what we know is a trap card. It's almost certainly Widespread Ruin, so we'll have to trigger that with a sacrificial monster. Hoping we get an MBD, I just go for it using Dragon Zombie. We pull an MBD, so I drop the equip cards on it and I dump the field card since Umi doesn't power up MBD. We can't attack since we know he's got a trapped card down, but we know that he won't use any magic card to destroy us since he has no monsters on the field. One simple twin-headed fusion to activate the trap later, and we're able to use our 5500 attack MBD to clear the board. From here on out, Dark Knight will be forced to play monsters only, so we can keep destroying them and attack his life points and eventually win. 1 fight to go. Nightmare. Again spelled N-I-T-E-M-A-R-E. There's a slight gimmick to Nightmare. Although he has powerful cards like MBD, Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth, Gate Guardian and Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, his deck is entirely monsters. Meaning if we get an MBD and 1 Megamorph, it's enough to stop Nightmare from ever attacking us and we will have won. Turn 1, and unfortunately the best thing we can fuse is a twin-headed Thunder Dragon, as it's too risky to play MBD without equips, though you can tell the pressure was getting to me since I should have dumped the other 2 cards. Unsurprisingly, Nightmare plays Blue Eyes Ultimate, putting us on a timer. We don't draw a Megamorph, so we need to dump our hand fast. We take a big chunk to our life points. This is our last turn to draw Megamorph. Damn, we've lost. Well, be right back. Attempt 2 and we're in a similar situation, but this time I remembered to dump my spare cards, though again I was clearly a bit stressed since I should have dumped the field card too. This time though we got a Megamorph. That should be game. Nightmare summons a card face down in attack mode. This could be Blue Eye's ultimate, and if I attacked, would take out our own monster too, so I can't do that. I need to bait him to attack me so I can find out what the card is. This might be slow, but this should be fine. We'll keep baiting his cards to attack us while slowly whittling him down. Hang on a minute. We've got a star sign advantage. The first time all game that's actually been useful. Oh look, another Megamorph. I couldn't decide whether to make another 4500 card or a 5500 card. In the end, I wanted to know for sure that I could take out anything that he played. But with that assurance, it's absolutely over. We did it. We beat the most unfair card game ever made, and we became the best pharaoh the world has ever seen. Fun fact, there is actually a 3D mode where you can see your creature and their creature battling, and I completely forgot that was a thing until I saw the end credits. Oh, and this happened. Either way, I'm counting that as a win and crossing off another childhood PlayStation 1 game that I couldn't beat. Thank you all for joining me on this journey. I can't wait to read all your comments. I don't like to ask this, but I think it's okay if I say at the end of the video, if you enjoyed this video and if you like video essays, or if you like gaming news or just random gaming videos, and apparently vlogs because that's something I started doing now, please go ahead and click that subscribe button, as I would love to be able to hit 1500 by the end of the year, which is a lot closer now than when I actually wrote this script. Either way, thank you very much for watching, I really appreciate that. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye bye.